What's going on, everyone? So, welcome to my latest live stream. I know it's on the later side. It's at 9:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with where I'm at, and this is going to be a little bit different. As you saw the title of this live stream, it's method of watching movies and 2013 American Excess Films live stream. Whether you follow me on social media or YouTube, well, I guess YouTube's considered social media outlet, but either way, I've done polls for both of these, and they were interesting. I was not expecting the results that I got, but don't worry, this is going to be tying into some of my train of thought lately. I guess the first thing I will discuss is, let me pull this up. I asked, what's your preferred method of watching films? And the options are, I don't have time for films because, some people say they don't have time for films, but as I always say, you make time for the things you love. Physical medium, streaming, and then theaters. So it's funny because on social media platforms such as Instagram, surprisingly, many people said theaters, like a lot of people. But then when I go on YouTube, it seems like most people said physical media, which I, again, was not expecting. But it does make sense because physical media is great quality. But I was just not expecting that. But the reason why I decided to do this poll was I was just curious because you always hear people say, oh my goodness, they just don't make original movies. They don't make original movies. That's why I don't go to the movies because they don't make original movies. But then you look at the last couple of weeks and you have gotten mainstream movies that are original and yet audiences just haven't been showing up. And then on the flip side of things, it's like, okay, maybe audiences just like IP driven films. But then you look at those and those aren't doing well either. So it's a very confusing time. And one thing I was thinking about in consideration of that was that it could also be the economy. I know the economy is, not doing well, especially with the back and forth between the Orange Man and other countries. So that's definitely not helping any. But it's interesting to hear that people do love going to the theaters, and yet you look at the numbers and that's not really the case. Now, of course, I know that this is a small fraction. I do not have millions of people following me. And I know that's usually millions of people that are going to the theaters, but it's just interesting to get this kind of take. Streaming, I think people have kind of realized it's pretty much just cable. So I am glad to see that streaming is on the lower side. I'm also even more happy to see that people saying I don't have time for films, that's on the low side. But let me get some of the comments. I'm curious. Ace Plus says, what's good? Ace, good to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this, Ace? I'm very curious. Andrew Lay is in the chat. Hello. You're not late. Great time for me on my day off. Oh, perfect, Andrew. I am glad to hear that. I definitely want to hear your takes on these things I'll be talking about. Okay, I saw that post and I think I voted and wanted to comment something, but I forgot. Sorry. All good, man. All good. That's one of the reasons why I put it on multiple outlets. Like my main outlet, of course, is YouTube, but on my Instagram, I also put the poll. The only thing is sometimes I forget to save that because on stories on Instagram, it's only for 24 hours. So if you don't actually remember that, oh yeah, this is the 24th hour, I got to save this, then you'll forget. Like that's what happened with my my one about the 2005 Best Picture nominees, which I figured I would discuss next week, just so that way there's not too many things that we're talking about this live stream, because method of watching movies and 2013 American Success films, I feel like that's going to cover a lot as it is. But I'm going to switch. Oh, wait, real quick before I switch. Ace Plus says I said theaters. Oh, good. Andrew, I'm curious. What did you say? Did you say theaters as well? Let me pull up there real quick. I did this when Mickey 17 came out, so I'm going to do it again now that the full numbers came. I know I'm not Dan Murrow. I'm not saying I am, but Dan Murrow is one of my favorite YouTube critics, and I do love how he does, breakdowns at the box office. And, of course, I care about the quality of the film, but just lately it's been boggling my mind with how the box office has been. So I want to discuss it. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Maybe different perspectives on it. So I'm just pulling it up right now. All right. So I'm going to go case by case with this. So let me pull this up. Mm, oh, wrong one. 1 second, guys. All right, here we go. Showtime. All right. So the first thing is, of course, Snow White made $52 million, which was enough for first place. But with the controversy, with people not being as into Snow White, maybe IP, you know, fatigue, is why it did only $52 million, which is very low compared to all the other, live action remakes that Disney has done. That's what was kind of nerve wracking for me, because if people aren't even seeing that, which is supposed to be the one that's kicking off the summer, or I know we're only in March, but I feel like summer keeps getting earlier and earlier. So the fact that this didn't do well is like, okay. Then you see Black Bag, which is one of the films I was talking about, how it's an original film. It's an original film that's also geared towards adults, and yet it's only made $16 million if you look at the total gross. So it's like, guys, come on, support this movie. It's also made by an auteur, Steven Soderbergh. So it's like, even if you watch it and you don't like it, at least you're supporting original films the way that some people claim that they like. Captain America: Brave New World, it's still in the top three, which isn't surprising because in terms of action blockbusters, there really aren't that many out. So it makes sense. It's made almost $200 million, which sounds a lot on paper, but the fact of the matter is, compared to other MC films, it's really not doing that well. Mickey 17, that's the one that I said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, how it's also an original film. But at the same time, it's been bombing hard. But that's more so because of the budget. And also, I know that Bong Joon-ho claims that things went well with him in the studio, but I think it's a load of baloney, especially since word just got out, I think it was today, that PTA's new film, One Battle After Another, that he's been battling Final Cut. So hearing that says, yeah, okay, I don't think Warner Brothers is letting auteur directors actually fulfill their entire vision, which is frustrating. Then we get to Novocaine, which I'll be honest, I haven't seen Novocaine yet. I don't know. I saw the trailer and it seemed like it could be okay, but that's why I didn't see it. But at the same time, again, if you like action movies, if you like comedies, it seems like a film that you should go out to support. And then the Alto Nights, I was gonna see it, but I've been choosing other films over it, to be honest. And then The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, I did see it because I grew up watching with Looney Tunes, and it's definitely much better than Space Jam 2. But it's still kind of frustrating seeing that it only made a total of $7 million so far, considering the fact that it's geared towards children, but children just aren't seeing it. They're seeing, it seems, Snow White, and then of course number 8, which is Dogman. Now I won't lie, Dogman is one that I am looking forward to checking out. At my local library. I was going to see it in theaters, but again, there's been other films that I've been putting over it. And then number 9 is The Monkey, which I did see. As a horror comedy, it's fun. And then Paddington in Peru, it's still been managing to be in the top 10, which is nice. But as a whole, this top 10 box office, it's very sad. It's very sad considering that none of them have really broken out. I don't even know what's gonna break out. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts though on the status of the box office right now. And like I said, I see these numbers, so I'm seeing these numbers, and then I'm seeing the poll numbers, and I'm seeing how it's not really adding up per se as much, unless some of these people are waiting for physical media. But I don't know if other physical media people, blind buy as much. I don't really blind buy that much as a physical media collector. Ace Blitz says, Chad Fargo is so good. Excellent show. One of my absolute favorites. I'm curious to see how far you are in it. Angela, I didn't choose Don't Have Time because my friends know I'm the maniac who watches a movie a day. Amen. That's me too. Angela, I didn't choose theater because not everyone, because not everything is worth encouraging cinemas becoming thieves these days. Interesting. Expand on that. I'm very curious. Andrew Mickey 17 was fun, but I'm guilty of telling my friends to just wait for streaming. Oh, wow. See, I'm on the opposite end. I actually told my friends to see this. I think it's flawed. I think the first half is exposition galore, which was very saddening because I was watching and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, you take out the narration of that first half and you have a first half that's actually pretty decent. But that first half really bogged things down. For a while, I thought I was going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Then the second half came along and they shed, it seemed like, a lot of the narration, which was nice. And I was able to actually get immersed. But, it's a flawed film for sure. But Mark Ruffalo was a lot of fun. Robert Pattinson was really good. I enjoyed the movie, but it's definitely flawed. So I can see where you're coming from with that. Godzilla, maybe Sinners in a couple of weeks. I hope that does well because that seems like a hybrid of genres that intrigues me. And at the same time, I'm a huge Michael B. Jordan fan. And Ryan Coogler, as far as I'm concerned, I think he's made, 4 films? He's 4 out of 4 in my book. I think Fruitvale Station was good. I think Black Panther was quite good. Black Panther 2 was good. And then Creed was good. I think I'm trying to think. I know I own Black Panther on 4K, and then I also own Creed on 4K, but I don't own Black Panther 2 yet on 4K. But I am excited for Sinners, and I really do hope that does well at the box office because it will send a good message overall that people want IP-less films, and also just it's really good in terms of Black cinema as well. And on top of that, I think the fact that it's a horror, if I'm not mistaken, it's a period film, it's a horror film, and then I think it's an action film too. So it's an ambitious film, it seems. So I really do hope it does well. East Palette's, I have 8 episodes left. I really need to continue. Oh yeah, dude, highly recommend it. Andrew Lay talking about Bond. I saw Memories of Murder yesterday. So good, dude. Yeah, that's such a great film. That and Zodiac, watching them back to back, beautiful. Film Kid, sorry for being late. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. It's all good, man. So we're just talking right now about the box office, how there were the polls that I did. Here, let me pull that up just to catch you up 1 second. I'll just take a minute. All right, there we go. Yeah, so to catch some of the people that are just now getting the chat, we were talking about preferred method of watching films, that poll that I did. And I was saying how I just think it's very interesting that in the poll, more people were on physical media in terms of what they prefer. And then in my other polls, same poll, but on Instagram, people were saying theaters. So I just thought it was very interesting because then I pulled up the box office, and the box office doesn't really match that because it's a drought right now. And sometimes the early months of a year has that occur, but I feel like it's even worse right now. I don't know, just has me worried, saddening. Film Kid, I saw Death of a Unicorn today. I know you weren't as big of a fan of it. I had fun with it though. I'm glad you had fun with it. Yeah, that's a good example. It's a movie I wasn't a fan of. I absolutely hated the ending. I thought the humor fell flat, but I would still tell people to check it out in theaters. And the reason being is because it's an original movie. It's IP-less. It has an appealing cast, and it's genre fair. So it's like, yeah, support it. Even though I wasn't a big fan of it, support it. Check it out. The only way you know if you like something is if you take the risk and see it. That's my thing. Film Kid, I'm also going to the theater tomorrow to see Princess Mononoke in IMAX, and on Sunday I might go see The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Oh, Killing of a Sacred Deer is great, man. I love that movie. Princess Mononoke, I need to rewatch. It's been years since I've seen it. I remember thinking it was quite good, though. I forget if I have it logged on Letterboxd, though, or not. But, yeah, so that's the box office. It doesn't seem like too many people have too much more to add about the box office. So I'll answer some of your comments, and then we'll get into 2013 American Excess films, and then the films that I'm planning to watch this weekend. So first comment is Film Kid said I voted for theaters. Awesome. That's the way to watch films, man. Film Kid, but physical media is a close second. I just prefer going to the theater and having that theater experience. Agreed. Honestly, a lot of times I want to experience it in theaters first, just to make sure I like the film, and then when I rewatch it at home, that's the real test to see if it holds up. Film Kid, I will agree with you that the ending to Death of a Unicorn was terrible, and it felt like they were just trying to make it a happy ending. Yeah, I'm not that person that doesn't like ambiguous endings. I actually love ambiguous endings, but that ending it didn't really seem like an ambiguous ending, more so as just a non-ending. It seemed like so anticlimactic to the point of it felt like what came before it made it feel, I don't want to say pointless, because some could argue that that's the point. It's more so the fact that I didn't get anything from it overall. I thought that every single genre that it tackled, it fell flat on its face. And as a genre fair, that makes it frustrating to watch. Filmmaking wise, it was hit or miss. I mean, the visual effects, I thought that there were some sequences, such as all the trippy scenes, they were nice. They were, nicely done. Although I will say, I watched the film Ash afterwards with Isaiah Gonzalez and Aaron Paul. That film was really good. That film made the trippy scenes in Death of the Unicorn pale in comparison. There's a lot more trippy imagery in Ash. Definitely want to rewatch that. Angela, I didn't choose physical media because I'm moving back to Vietnam soon, and censorship is not ideal for this. Hence, I choose streaming instead. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Man, that stinks. Angela, funny how you called me a Kiwi, although I'm just an expite in New Zealand. Oh, I called you Kiwi? My bad. Film Kid, I really wish they connected the ending to a scene early in the film with the paintings showing the maiden. Yeah, that was. They had potential with that, but it kind of fell flat. Ace Plutz, what are you watching? I'll get into that in just a second. I first want to talk about the next poll that I had. But first, Film Kid, I will say I do think the kill with the pool table and the limbs getting ripped off were really well done. Yes, I will give credit where credit's due. That scene was good. All right, so the next poll. This was fun to do. I'm not going to lie. This one was kind of predictable. But I asked, what's your favorite 2013 film that tackles American excess? Now, I was going to say American capitalism, but I know that that word is scary for a lot of people. So I was like, you know what? What's a word that's close to it? Excess. So the reason why is because I rewatched Wolf of Wall Street not too long ago, and then I rewatched Spring Breakers in theaters, and I got out at my local library Pain and Gain. So I'll be rewatching this. And all three, what they have in common is they're tackling American excess, capitalism, the American dream, drugs, sex, alcohol, all that stuff. And they all came out in 2013, which is wild to think that these three films that, all are dealing with similar themes, but go about it in a different manner in the same year. It's fascinating. So it begs the question. I wonder what people think. I kind of had a feeling that people were going to choose Wolf of Wall Street, but I wanted to throw in another option, which was I love all three, because that's the one I chose. I think Pain and Gain, I've only seen it once, which was 7 years ago, which is why I want to rewatch it. I think it's a solid film. Might be Michael Bay's best film. Spring Breakers gets better each time. I'm going to say it on the record. I think Spring Breakers is a great film. Wolf of Wall Street, I also think, is a great film. So that's why I put, personally, I love all three. But I'm curious to see what you guys put down as your choices if you voted in the poll. But I was just thinking about it, and I think that three auteur directors, I know people usually don't like Michael Bay, and I can respect that because I'm not the biggest fan of him either. But Michael Bay, Harmony Korine, and then Martin Scorsese, all tackling it. So it's clearly something that was on their minds, and I just think it's fascinating to see the visual styles, how they handled it. I mean, they're varying in length. Like Wolf of Wall Street's 3 hours almost. Spring Breakers, on the other hand, is only like 94 minutes, and then Pain and Gain, I can actually cheat. It's 129 minutes. So I just think it's fascinating, honestly. Let's see. Film Kid says, I hadn't seen a single film from that poll, and so I couldn't vote. Fair enough. You should watch all three, honestly. I'd be very curious. Film kit. I know this is a little random, but do you know what A24's IMAX movie is going to be for the month of April? So I think it's actually going to be their new film Warfare. And the reason why I say I think is because they're doing a one-time showing on, I think it's April 9th in IMAX. So I think that that's going to be the film. Film kit. Also, since you're a pretty heavy user of Letterboxd, I've been curious. Have you ever thought about buying Patreon? I think you definitely should. It's really worth it. To be honest with you, I haven't. Um, that's the one I think where you can change the posters and everything, right? It's something that I never really thought about. I'm a pretty big cheapskate, so that's why I have just the free one. I've gotten used to the ads at this point, but maybe down the line I'll get it. I know I have my own Patreon on YouTube. There's still a tie with the TV show I'm supposed to watch this summer, so it's getting pretty close to having to decide. Okay, I've had it for about a year now, and it's really nice when it comes to stats, and it's also fun getting the change the poster and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's the main thing I've heard about. The nice thing about Patreon. Angela, I haven't even heard of the other two. LOL, Scorsese just overshadowed everyone. So let me just say this, Andrew. Pain and Gain and Spring Breakers, you might not have heard as much because Wolf of Wall Street was beloved. When that film came out, I still remember it. My entire high school was talking about the film. Critics loved it. Clearly, I mean, the Academy Award members loved it as well. It got a bunch of Oscar nominations. It was a huge box office success. It's had a lasting impact on American culture, although I will say that all three of these films, what they also have in common is that a lot of people, specifically Americans, misinterpret the films. These are films that tackle class. They tackle the American dream. They critique it. They're not a celebration of it. They're a critique. And that's what some people miss, unfortunately. But that comes down to media literacy. But when you look at Pain and Gain and Spring Breakers, when both films came out, they were divisive. I feel like Spring Breakers has slowly gained a cult following, especially since it was one of the first A24 films. But Pain and Gain, not so much, because it's a from what I recall, it's a hard film to watch at times. But Michael Bay clearly doesn't like the characters like at all, and so he treats them very demeaning. Like his style is probably, I would say, the most obvious of a critique on capitalism. But the other two films, you can look at it in a way where people might fall for the excess and celebrate it when it's not a celebration of it. So just food for thought. But I would definitely recommend watching those two, especially Spring Breakers, even if you hate those films. I think you'll at least have a reaction to them, and I think it will start a discussion. And Spring Breakers, what's fascinating about this film is that I've met people that absolutely hate the film, but I've also met some people that love it. It seems like a love it or hate it type thing. But it's a gorgeous film. I mean, the cinematography, it's drenched in neon lighting, neon colors. Cliff Martinez delivers one of his best scores. There's a lot going for it. There really is. Just flat out. Film Kid, I really want Good Time to get re-released on IMAX. Yes, I agree. I am hoping that gets re-released because that film, I will never forget watching that in theaters. Film Kid, I'm a little shocked that The Wolf of Wall Street didn't take home Best Picture. Oh, I'm not. Even though it was beloved, there was still some controversy because it was, I think it was the number 2 film in regards to having the most F words. And then also it had so much nudity, which a lot of people just weren't really, accepting of that. A lot of people were very prudish about that, which, to each in their own. But that's why, versus a film like 12 Years a Slave, it's very important. And there's no possibility of someone taking away the wrong message. Versus Wolf of Wall Street, there's the possibility that some people will misunderstand it. 12 Years a Slave, they won't. It's also a historical film that everyone should experience at least once. Versus Wolf of Wall Street, it can be kind of a hard sell for certain people. But 12 Years a Slave, I always tell people, you need to watch it. It's important. It's like Schindler's List. You got to watch it. Uzel, interesting that 2 of those movies, Pain and Gain and Wolf, take place in the late 80s and early 90s. That was when American Excess was in possibly its prime. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's also when, my parents' generation and other people's generations around my age, soaked all that in, and then they're then passing it down to my generation, and then my generation, is trying to also pursue that, even though my generation should be more aware of that. It's a lot harder, the American dream. Like, it's always been, again, a dream, but it's now harder than ever. I mean, you look back at mortgages when it was like $50,000. Now it's like, oh, it's almost $1 million, and it's like, yeah, we could definitely do it. And it's like, okay. So yeah, I do agree. Film Kid also started Poor Things earlier this month. I never finished it though because I was sick while watching it, and I got about 30 minutes in. I realized I shouldn't be watching this while sick. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend giving it a second chance because it is a fantastic film. Absolutely love that film. My dad has seen Wolf of Wall Street and Pain and Gain, and he has told me that he does not like Wolf of Wall Street, and he thinks Pain and Gain is just okay. Yeah, I mean, Wolf of Wall Street, it definitely can have that effect on people. I think that for a lot of people, they remember the first two acts where it's like the high, if you will, the upper moment. But the third act, everything comes crumbling down. And that's what a lot of films that tackle the American dream, that's like the structure. And I like it, but I think what's sad is that a lot of those films, people just get so caught up in the excess that they look at it as like an ad for that when it's not. It's saying like, hey, these things, it might seem cool and interesting, but here's the takeaway you should be getting by the third act. Like I always say, the ending of a film is probably arguably the most important thing because that's what audiences, leave the theater or leave their home with. But some people, I guess, are different where they think about that first high when they're watching the movie, like the beginning. Film Kid but Honora won Best Picture, and it's debatably more inappropriate than Wolf of Wall Street, with nearly the same amount of F-words and nudity on par with this film. That's a good point. That is a good point. But I want to counter. 2013 was a different time. I mean, it might not sound like it because it's like, oh, it's only 11, 12 years ago. But it was a different time. When you looked at the Academy back in 2013, and you can look this up, the Academy was a lot more conservative. There was a lot more people that were not a fan of nudity, and it explains as to why when you look at the Best Picture nominees that year, I think Wolf of Wall Street was the only one that really had nudity, like in that regards, like that excess. So when they would look at other films, it's like, okay, am I going to award it to 12 Years a Slave, Gravity, or Wolf of Wall Street? There was just no question in their mind. I'm also pretty sure that the preferential voting that they used also would have made Wolf of Wall Street a lot lower on the list. Versus Honora, you have the Academy. It's a new Academy. They're a lot less conservative. They added thousands of members from all across the globe, I might add. So it's apples and oranges. It's a different time. So you invite people all across the globe, you're going to get many different perspectives and more people that are willing to accept things. So that's my takeaway. But excellent question. I like that. Film Kid Chad, what is your favorite movie of the year that you were born in? For me, it is Drive. Ooh, that's an excellent choice. So for me, I would say Transpotting. Might be Transpotting. I think it's an excellent film. For the longest time, it was Fargo, but I think I'll have to say Transpotting. Excellent film. I've been meaning to do a video where it's I've seen some people do this where it's my favorite film from every year that I've been alive. Been thinking about doing that. But I think the reason why I've been holding off is I'm like, oh, just wait until you're 30. So that way it's 30 movies, like an even number. But yeah, so if you haven't seen any of these films or you've only seen Wolf of Wall Street, this is my time to say, check these films out. And, at the same time, we can then discuss some of them, next live stream. Because I do want to hear your guys' thoughts on some of these films. I'm not expecting you guys to love them. I'm not. I'm not going to say, hey, recommending these to you guys because you're going to love them. I don't know how you guys are going to feel about them. I know for a fact Spring Breakers, the first time I saw it, I wasn't a big fan of it, but it grew on me. Now I love it. Pain and Gain, like I said, I've only seen it once, but I do plan to rewatch it because I got it from the library. So that will be either this weekend or this week coming up. So, all right, I think that's enough discussion about that. Now, Ace Plus mentioned this earlier, asking, I should say, about what I'm going to be watching this weekend. So, I guess I'll go in order of how I'm planning to watch them. So, tomorrow, I am planning to method watch Easy Rider and Inherent Vice. So, Easy Rider was a film I picked up on my Criterion Hall video, which, if you haven't done so already, I collaborate with Michael Dennis of Real Black. You can check out that live stream. We discussed our pickups. Easy Rider was one of them. I liked this film. I saw it 7 years ago, but I haven't seen it since then. Inherent Vice. This is a film that, after getting a early access to see one battle after another, that film gave me some vibes of Inherent Vice, so I want to give Inherent Vice a third chance, and I feel like method viewing it will probably make me appreciate it more. We'll see. But these films I'm definitely planning to watch tomorrow. Easy Rider is only 95 minutes long, so be a quick watch. And then Inherent Vice is 2 hours and 48 minutes, so it's going to be a long one. And then if I have time tomorrow, I'll start watching the Katsi trilogy. I'll probably, depending on time, I might be able to watch two of the three, but I'm planning to watch this because this trilogy, I've only seen the first one, which is I'm going to butcher this, Koinotsuki. The film I saw it a year ago was excellent, so blind bought the other two because it came as a pack, but I'm looking forward to watching the other two. So very curious though to see what you guys are gonna be watching this weekend, and then if I have time, I'll watch Peeing a Game. But I want to hear what you guys are planning to watch this weekend, or if it's one of those things where it just depends on your guys' mood. Film Kit says, awesome, I get a chance to see the Straight Story in 35mm in June. Ooh, that's probably gonna be a great experience. I actually just rewatched the Straight Story, and it's so good. Film Kit and Mulholland Drive is also playing at the theater in June as well. Ooh, that's a film I want to experience in theaters. That would probably be amazing, honestly, especially if they're showing it like 35mm. Bootzilla, born in 74, so it has to be Godfather Part 2 for me. Chinatown, a close second. So it's funny you mentioned both of those, Bootzilla, because I've been putting off. I've seen all the 1970s Academy Award Best Picture nominees. And 1974, I know that that's going to be a video that's going to be hard to do because picking Chinatown or Godfather Part 2 is like trying to pick your favorite child. It's kind of impossible. They're both masterpieces. They're both incredible. And they're both in my top 50. I love them. But I might say Chinatown because I think, if I recall correctly, I think Chinatown's my number 26, and then I think Godfather Part 2 is like my number 28. Very close, though. I love both. So I love both your choices. Let's see. Film Kid, since you know my taste, Chad, do you think I would like Spring Breakers now, or do you think I should wait? That's a good question. I mean, you seem to like a lot of A24 films. I don't know your take though on Harmony Korine. He's not a filmmaker for everyone. He's very much so into improv. He's more so also into like the visuals, like doing the storytelling. Less so of the dialogue. Like Spring Breakers, the dialogue is very repetitive, which matches the excess nature of what he's tackling. So it makes sense, but it's not for everyone. So I mean, I would say if you're in the mood for a film that takes place in Florida that deals with excess, give it a shot. Otherwise, just wait. It's up to you. It's up to you, really. Film Kit, I told you what I'm planning to watch, but if I have enough time tomorrow morning, then I'll watch something. Well, what do you think you would watch tomorrow morning? I'm curious. Film Kit Chad, if I get Instagram, I would DM you the theater. Yeah, man, I believe it in the link. Yeah, let me see. I believe I have it in the link. I should at least. Second. If not, no, I can put it down below. Yeah. All right. So that should be. Hopefully, that's the link. Andrew Lay, I saw Fincher's The Game recently. Does it count as a commentary on American excess as well? Great underrated film nonetheless. Honestly, yeah, why not? I mean, if you think about it, it's rich people doing rich things just because they can. So yeah, I would say yeah. Andrew Lay, the plot twists were crazy. Would love to experience them again. Great time if watching with dad brothers or on your birthday. LOL. Ooh, you know something? The game on your birthday, that's method viewing. That would be a great experience. Oh man, yeah, you're not wrong. I like that idea, Andrew. I do. Film kid, this just popped into my head, but have you seen Euphoria? And if you have, is it a good show? So I do. I do watch Euphoria. I'm a fan of Sam Levinson. I know it's not really the popular thing to say. Uh, all his onset things that have occurred, I'm not saying I think it's okay. I don't. If that's what happened, it's not good. But I've been a fan of it since Assassination Nation, which I just ironically rewatched last week. I think he's a good director, but I also think that filmmaking is a collaborative effort, and I think that he was more collaborative with Assassination Nation and Euphoria season one. Everything after that, he hasn't really been collaborative, and it's shown because it's been very hit or miss. So to make it as concise as possible, I would say Euphoria season one. Watch it. It's definitely worth your time. It's beautiful. It's shot on film. If you like it, I think that you might like Spring Breakers. And the reason why I say that is because they both are dealing with excess. Beautiful imagery, beautiful lighting, that neon lighting. So season two is very hit or miss. There are some issues with it for sure, but there are some elements that I do like about season two. So season three, I'll watch it, but I don't know if they're going to be able to match the quality of season one because season one was quite good. Don't kid, my dad really wants to watch the game with me. We just need to find time. Oh yeah, I'm sure he wants to see your reactions with it because it's definitely an unpredictable film for sure. I would recommend watching the game and then right after watch game night. Very good doubleheader. Andrew Lay, just Panic Room now. Then I'll finish Fincher and Following, and I'll finish Nolan. Saw Insomnia recently too. It's a functional thriller, very basic. Yeah, I agree. I think that what's frustrating about Insomnia is that I quite liked it when I first saw it, but on rewatch, it really doesn't hold up that much. I think it's a fine film, but I think it might be because I watched the original. I think it was the day before I rewatched the remake in preparation for Oppenheimer. And the remake, I don't know, there's some camera work that I thought was questionable, and I do think that overall as a character study, it's hit or miss. So I definitely agree. Following, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. I've only seen it one time. I remember thinking it was good, but that's about it. It really didn't have much of a lasting impact. Panic Room, I'll be curious. I don't know if you've seen the movie Don't Breathe, which came out in, I think it was 2016. But if you've seen Don't Breathe paid homage a lot to Panic Room, like a lot, a lot. I think Panic Room is a fine film. I'm a huge Fincher fan, as you know. Panic Room is fine. It's not my favorite, unfortunately, but it's competent. But I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. So you saw The Killer on Netflix? Because I know that was his most recent film. Okay, the theater that I might see Straight Story in at 35 millimeter is the theater that I saw Pulp Fiction and the Big Lebowski in. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's nice to have a theater that's relatively close by that's showing all these classic films and on film. Because for me, if I want to watch a film on film, I have to drive several hours. Now I say that with the fact of the matter that I still haven't experienced watching a film on film, but I'm excited to do that. Film kid, what director do you want to drop the most? Um, what do you mean? What do you mean by drop the most? I'm curious. Film Kid, the theater's still around 45 to 50 minutes away from me. That's why I haven't been to it as often. Oh, okay. So it's still a pretty good drive. Andrew Lay, I actually saw The Killer in cinema. Great time seeing Fassbender being over his head on the big screen. Oh, okay, awesome. I'm glad you got to see that in theaters too. Yeah, I drove I think an hour away to see that, and I'm glad that I did. I saw it in an indie theater. It was really good experience. It's a shame that Fincher has pretty much gone the Netflix route. Is what it is, but getting to see a Fincher film in theaters is just it's awesome. I think before that, the only Fincher film I saw in theaters was Gone Girl, which was an amazing experience as well. Film Kid dropping a film. Oh, okay. You mean what director I want to see drop a film the most? Honestly, I would say Park Chan Wook. Like now that I've seen Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, it's Process of Elimination. It goes to Park Chan Wook, who his next film is my most anticipated film of 2025, and then I think after that would go to Terrence Malick and Wes Anderson. Ironically, Wes Anderson's new film Phoenician Scheme comes out around my birthday, so I'm hoping it's good. It'll be a really nice gift. Film Kid, I might go to TIFF this year, but I don't know. I've heard it's expensive, which is why I've never gone, but I have heard that it's an amazing experience, and getting to see new films ahead of everyone, that's even better. So, yeah, if you can afford it, then yeah, I'd say why not? Experience it. Andrew, like, oh, I might see Big Lebowski and Fargo this weekend. I'm binging Coen Brothers, just finished Serious Man Burn after reading an Oh Brother. I love all of them. Such agreeable humor to me. If you like all those, then I think that you'll love Big Lebowski and Fargo. I know both of those are some of my favorite Coen Brother films. Serious Man, I need to rewatch. I thought it was solid on first viewing, but it just I've been thinking about it more, and I'm like, I need to rewatch that. Burn After Reading, good movie. I think that closet scene with Brad Pitt, it's an all-time moment. Whenever I think about this film, I always think about that scene. It's hilarious. And then Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, I think is really good. I've seen it throughout my life. It's always a film that when I watch, I'm like, yeah, this is quite good. Also, Film Kid concurs with me. You got to check out The Big Lebowski. I love that movie so much. It's in my top 4. Yeah, Big Lebowski's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's Inherent Vice, which is what I'm planning to rewatch tomorrow. Inherent Vice owes a lot to The Big Lebowski because Inherent Vice and Big Lebowski, they're both stoner noirs that also act as mystery comedies. And it's an interesting genre. I feel like it's a genre you don't see too much of, but Big Lebowski is, I would say, probably the best. Might change tomorrow after I rewatch Inherent Vice, but we'll see. Curious, Andrew Lay, are you a fan of PTA? Like, have you seen all Paul Thomas Anderson's films? I'm curious. Film Kid, you were recently the most is releasing his film around my birthday. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for his new film. He's a director I've been meaning to release my ranking list, but I keep having to put it back because he's been making more and more movies. So I feel like after this one, I'll be able to release my ranking list. Film Kid, I would definitely recommend watching Big Lebowski with some friends or family. Great experience. Yes, it's a great film to watch with friends. I've seen it. Let me go on Letterboxd. Second. So I've seen The Big Lebowski at least 8 times, and I just noticed that it's been over 2 years now that I've rewatched The Big Lebowski. So I do need to change that. Andrew Lane, nice. I love PTA. Should I method view the stoner film? Uh yeah. I mean that's what I'm doing tomorrow. Um, that's you'll definitely see the candy emoji tomorrow for that film. Yeah, I think that you should because the whole film revolves around a detective who is having a difficult time following everything that's going on with all these different characters and in the mystery itself. because he's constantly stoned. So if you're experiencing that while watching the film, I feel like you'll be in the mindset of the character even more. At least that's what I'm thinking about on paper. I'm like, I feel like that is how you should experience it. So that's why I'm going to be rewatching it that way tomorrow. But just know it's a film that most people consider to be, I don't want to say incomprehensible, but I'll say this, convoluted. It's a convoluted film, but it's intentionally so. Usually I'm about to finish Tarantino as well. Just Jackie Brown next. Death Proof was weird. Yeah, Death Proof was a throwback to those grindhouse films in the 1970s. I thought it was just kind of like wasn't a big fan of it, so I agree. Jackie Brown, I remember thinking it was okay. Only seen it one time, but that was like a decade ago, so maybe I should rewatch it. Film Kid PTA films ranked that I've seen: number 1, Punch Drunk Love; number 2, Phantom Thread; number 3, There Will Be Blood; number 4, Magnolia. I need to watch more of his films. Yes, I highly recommend watching more of his films, which also I'm going to use this as a segue to bring up something else that has been on my mind. Second. Another. This news, I think, broke today, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull this up 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the article. I know I should have had it already. It stinks because they released the trailer, but I'm trying to find the news about it. 1 second. Let me cheat. Look at my phone. I think I know the outlet. Let's see. Variety. It's variety.com. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Come on. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up. Because I have it, I don't want to say I have it memorized, but I know what the article's about, but I want to show it to you guys as well, so that way you can see it. Let's see. One second. Where is it? Sorry, there's technical difficulty. Oh, you can't even stop the web. Here it is. I think this is it. All right, let me pull this up. 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulty. All right. So we're talking about PTA. I read this: one battle after another needs to make 260 million test screening results revealed, which, not to jerk my own chain, but I was actually part of that, which was an amazing experience. Definitely one of my favorite theater experiences in recent memory. But they're saying that needs to make at least 260 million at the global box office in order to break even, because the budget, I think, was 140 million. They're saying, of course, how the first trailer was released, which I have to add, the trailer I think does an excellent job of showcasing what to expect in terms of genres whilst not really revealing much. So it's a great trailer. However, and this is what's frustrating. So I've been on the record. I'm pretty sure I've said it on multiple live streams that the studio putting all this money on PTA and expecting to make a film that's accessible for everyone is insanity. The guy doesn't make films for everyone. He makes films that are for people that are really into film or really into history and filmmaking. And that's fine. But if you look at his filmography, none of his movies really make a lot of money. And yet they're financial successes. Why? Because the budgets aren't that expensive. So my point with all this is that to give a director $140 million and then to say, hey, make the most that you've ever done before, whilst at the same time keeping your own style, unless we decide to switch gears and actually say, you know what, actually, we want to take over your style and everything. We want to try to make it as accessible as possible. It's like, well, what do you guys want to do? It just makes it all the more frustrating. So my point is right here. Where is it? Here it is. Anderson allowed Warner Brothers to hold test screenings for one battle after another. This being the first Anderson movie that's had a test screening since 1997's Boogie Nights. Given the high budget, it has so far been shown to test audiences in Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Dallas, and New Jersey. A consistent note came up: audiences struggled to root for any of the characters, bringing up the age-old question about likability in commercial films, Variety article states. Which is insanity, because when you're watching a film doesn't need to provide likable characters or characters that you root for, because that's not what life is like. You don't always see people in life that are likable. A lot of people in life aren't likable. So it's insane. It's insane. So the other thing, dismiss that. DiCaprio, meanwhile, has been praised for a quirky performance, while Del Toro scored highest of all during the test screening, and Penn's character is also indexing high. Our source also suggested DeLuca and Anderson were fighting over the final cut of the film, which is running over 2.5 hours. The article continues. Studio insiders denied any tension between DeLuca and Anderson, adding that the former was in the latter's wedding party. Another source added that Anderson has voluntarily trimmed between 8 to 10 minutes from One Battle After Another early screening feedback, and that One Battle After Another will be released in United States theaters in February 26th of 2025 from Warner Brothers. Now, here's the thing. I think that there is some fiction to some of this. PTA, the film that I saw, One Battle After Another, I know I signed an NDA, so I can't technically say anything positive or negative. I won't do that. But what I will say is the cut that I saw, I would not change a single thing about it. So hearing that they potentially cut out 8 to 10 minutes from this is insanity. The film, again, not talking positives or negatives, the film flies by. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have my Apple Watch. I don't know how long the film was. All I know is that I had heard that it was almost 3 hours long, but it felt like an hour and a half film. Flew by. And so just hearing that they were butting heads, even though they claim that they didn't, is just something that worries me, because you have the potential to make so much money from trusting in PTA, just releasing the film. You have DiCaprio. DiCaprio is someone that's very viable. Most of his films are box office successes. You have a director that is delivering a film that I would argue is a 4-quadrant film. I think it's very accessible for people, and it's in many ways a magnum opus. It's a film that all of his films that he's done previously, there are elements of those films in this one. So, in my opinion, just hearing that there's some cuts and everything that he's had to compromise his vision, it's very saddening, because it just goes to show that, just people taking surveys and everything about likability, that's what is deterring you from it. So it's insanity. But I wanted to mention that because that article broke. I read it today, and I was just like, really? This is what we're doing? We're not trusting in directors anymore, all tours. So I don't like it. Film kid, chat's getting high. Dude, it's good for, I have an autoimmune disease. It's good for that. It is good for focus, especially with films. Enhances things. So it's a lot of positives. Also keep in mind, I don't I take it in well, not candy form. They don't have candy. They don't have, unfortunately, a gummy emoji, but I take it gummy form. So if they had that, I would put that on Letterboxd. Andrew Lee, I saw Inherent Vice twice. Still don't understand anything but incredible filmmaking. I'm in the same boat as you. I saw it twice. I think the first time was beginning in 2015. Second time, I was at my local Dollar Tree and they had it for $1, so I picked it up and I watched it. And I didn't like it that much. I thought it was just okay, so I ended up selling it, which I'm kind of regretting because here I am 6 years later wanting to rewatch it. So I kind of wish that I still had that copy. But that's what's great about the library is that I can, borrow it for free still. Film kid, I swear that you always use me as a segue. Always. Whether you say it or not, I think it happens every stream. A segue? Oh yeah, of course. Film kid, when can you talk about the film? I don't know. So they didn't give me an embargo date, unfortunately, which is frustrating because I have my review films. I have my review films, and I even say in the review that I hope that they don't make any cuts because I understand that it's test screening. So I understand that at the end of it, when they give us the phones and everything to fill out the surveys, I understand that these surveys are very important because the higher it rates among these people that are watching it for free, the higher chance it is that they're not going to do any cuts and everything. So that's why I understand that's so important. But at the same time, I'm watching. I'm like, this doesn't need any cutting. That's all I'm going to say. Godzilla, Jackie Brown gets better with each watch. I always liked from the first time I saw it, but I love the acting and script. Sounds like I need to rewatch it then. Film kit, Jackie Brown's pacing is the thing that mainly holds it back for me. Yeah, I remember. I remember that being the case for me too. But I'm excited to rewatch it. So the pacing is fine. Not sure what you're expecting by the pacing for a movie like that. You can't rush a movie like Jackie Brown. And also, it's the same writer who did. I'm pretty sure Out of Sight. And Out of Sight, I also know was more of like a moody, slow burn type film. But I also saw Out of Sight a couple of years ago. Really liked it. Versus Jackie Brown, it's been a decade, so I know I'm overdue for a rewatch. Andrew, really nice to hear it has good pacing, as Chad said. It's an exploitation film like Death Proof a while back, and I don't know if I can handle 2.5 hours of that again for Jackie Brown. I mean, that's the thing. Tarantino, pretty much all of his films take from the exploitation genre. Django Unchained is a good example of that. I mean, that's a black exploitation film that's also a Western and revenge film. But yeah, I mean, it has some elements from what I recall. But if anything, from what I remember, it definitely felt like a Pulp Fiction type film. Film kid, have you seen every single Robert Eggers movie in theaters? Yes, I saw The Witch in theaters opening weekend. Actually, I think I might have gotten an early screen for that. Actually, let's see, The Lighthouse I saw twice in theaters. Actually, technically, retroactively, I can say I've technically seen The Lighthouse 3 times in theaters, but during its original release, I saw it twice. And then a couple months ago, I saw a third time in theaters. The Northman, I saw in theaters. Did I see that twice? Yeah, I saw that twice in theaters. And then Nosferatu, I also saw it twice in theaters, ironically. So the interesting thing is that I guess The Witch is the only one that I only saw once in theaters. Film kit. I think the main reason I find it slower just because it was a follow-up film from Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, which are both pretty fast-paced. That's a fair point. I think also seeing those two films and then seeing Jackie Brown, it's very hard not to expect that same level of like, oh my goodness. But it's a different style from what I remember in regards to how he's tackling the story. Like it's more so about the vibe and the characters from what I recall. But I'll let you know fully on rewatch. Andrew Way. Andrew, I also finished PTA last year. Top five: Phantom Thread, There We Blood, The Master, Boogie Nights, Hard Eight. I honestly like seeing Hard Eight so high up. Much respect. That was a good debut film. Godzilla at Andrew Lay. Death Proof is just a different film for Quentin Tarantino. Jackie Brown, like all Quentin Tarantino's movies, need the time to tell the story, not a movie that you can do in 90 minutes. Fair enough. Fair enough. Angela, I can't wait for one battle after another. Trailer was good. So jealous with Chad being able to see already. Dude, yeah, when I was on Facebook and I came across that, I was just like, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It's my second most anticipated film of the year. I gotta do it. And yeah, I'm glad that I did. Especially since they didn't even have a trailer released yet when I saw it. So I didn't even know what to expect in regards to the appearance of the characters. I didn't even know what the premise is. What I will say though is the premise on IMDb spoils like the first 45 minutes, which is kind of a shame. So if you want to go in completely blind, just watch that trailer. That's it. Don't read the premise on IMDb though. Angela Nice Bootzilla, we'll check it out then. Bootzilla, some of Quentin Tarantino's later movies like Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time, even Django, all which I liked. Severely misses editor Sally Menke, who died after Inglourious Basterds. Sally cut a lot of the fluff out. Honestly, I can respect this take, especially with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As much as I like that film, trying to get everyday people to watch a film is probably going to be tough because it's a hangout movie, and hangout movies just usually aren't made that much anymore. So if it was cut up a little bit more, I think it might have had more accessible appeal, but I still really like it. Hateful Eight, I would agree with you the first time I saw it, but I will say the more I rewatch it, the more I've grown to appreciate the way it's paced and edited, but I definitely can respect this take 100%. Okay, where'd you put your phone and Apple Watch? So what happened was they gave you like a bag. And what happened was you would put your phone and watch in the bag, and then they would give you a ticket. So I think my number was like 337 or something like that. So after the movie, you go up to the counter, you say, I have ticket number 337, and then they then go to the bag and they say, oh, 337. Then they give you the bag. And yeah. So it was great because we're all getting ready to watch the movie, and nobody has their phones, nobody has their watches, so there's no distraction. So people had to interact with each other that probably wouldn't have interacted otherwise. So, like for example, I was talking to some people that were all across, the East Coast. I mean, there were some people that were from New York, New York. Some people that were also from PA, and then other people that were in New Jersey, but drove 2 hours. So it was just a very nice experience. It was also funny because I wear a Letterboxd hat, so people saw the Letterboxd and they're like, oh, we would add you, but we don't have our phones. And I'm like, yeah, it's fair enough. But yeah, definitely a great experience. If you ever get the opportunity to see a test screening, highly recommend it. Bootzilla, I'm hoping this latest PTA is good. I didn't like Inherent Vice or Licorice Pizza. I really like Phantom Thread. How do I get around this? He hasn't made this type of film one battle after another since Magnolia. That's all I'll say. Because I was thinking that too. I'm like, are we going to get the old PTA where it's like constant, fast moving, quick cutting, plenty of tracking shots, or are we going to get the more methodical nature, that we now know PTA as, where it's like a lot of tripod based shots. So I think that you will like it. That's all I'm going to say. Godzilla loved Out of Sight. Same Michael Keaton character in both movies. Oh, really? I did not know that. See, now I really need to rewatch Jackie Brown. Film Kid, you're welcome for telling me about the IMAX re-release of The Lighthouse. Yes, I'm very glad you told me about that because as soon as it was brought to my attention, I knew I had to experience that in IMAX. Godzilla Pulp Fiction is not fast-paced. It has some elements of like Hangout, but it's in terms of Tarantino, it's like on the faster side. Film Kid, I respect you for not putting There Will Be Blood in top five. Oh, There Will Be Blood's definitely top five for me. Look at this. Look at this bad boy. I love There Will Be Blood. One of the greatest films of all time. Hands down. Godzilla, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, the same length, 154 minutes. Oh, wow. Andrew Lay, I did at Film Kid. It's my number 2. There Will Be Blood. It's amazing. Film Kid, Glorious Bastards is my dad's favorite Tarantino. That's a good movie. It's funny, too, because the more Westerns you watch, the more you realize how much, specifically Glorious Bastards, pays homage to spaghetti Westerns, which is awesome. Film Kid, Angela misread, but Film Kid, I'm surprised you don't like There Will Be Blood. It's a masterpiece. Angela, it was mine too for a while, but once upon a time, topped it on rewatch. Yeah. Angela, same with Inception, topping Interstellar for me. I used to love Inception. Like that was a film I watched so many times as a teenager, but now I think it's good. I still think it's good, but I don't love it as much as I once did. Godzilla, I can remember the date I went on to see Pulp Fiction in theaters, hated it, and couldn't wait for it to be over. That's how I knew it wasn't fast-paced. LOL. Wonder what she would say about it now. Yeah, I'm very curious, especially since now it has like such a cult following. It's now one of the highest-rated films on like IMDb. Just has such a huge influence too on pop culture, which is ironic considering that Tarantino pays so much homage to other films of the past. Nice pastiche. No, is that the word? Yeah, I think it's. Might be mispronouncing it. Godzilla, yes, Michael Keaton's character Ray Nicolette was in Jackie and Out of Sight. Played ATF agent in Out of Sight, an FBI agent in Jackie Brown. That's good to know. It's a nice little tie-in. And like I said, I like Out of Sight, so Jackie Brown needs to be rewatched. Film Kid, I don't hate There Will Be Blood. I think it's a perfect movie. It's just with some of the love that it gets, I think it's a little bit overhyped. But I definitely need to give it a rewatch. Yeah, I would highly recommend giving it a rewatch. I think it gets better with each viewing. And I think just if you look at it from a filmmaking standpoint, it's flawless. I mean, that opening scene, I think it's like 10 minutes long. It's visual storytelling. That's it. It's visual storytelling. And you get to know Daniel Plainview in 10 minutes. You get to know that he's very hardworking. You get to know that he is determined, that he is willing to do anything and everything to get his way. And so in many ways, it also foreshadows the third act, which is also pretty clever. And there's also a foreboding nature to the score, which Johnny Greenwood did an excellent job scoring. But there's just not that it's a horror film, it's not, but there's something off-putting about the score where you can't help but feel off kilter. And I really love that about it. Godzilla, There Will Be Blood. We need it on 4K now. There have been rumors recently that we are getting There Will Be Blood on 4K, which I would be ecstatic for. It looks really good on Blu-ray, but on 4K, I think it will look even better. Okay, I know a lot of people get mad at me for putting Phantom Thread above it, but I just think it's a better film. That's fair, man. I mean, at the end of the day, film's subjective, so it's like we're all gonna have different views. So if we all had as I always say, if we all had the same view, life would be dull. So you like a Phantom Thread more so than There Will Be Blood. That's fair, even though I definitely don't agree. Andrew, some recent movies I saw, I'm Still Here, should have won Best Picture, in my opinion. Oh, Baby Girl, mid. Yeah, and Furiosa, incredible. Much prefer this over Fury Road. So, I'm Still Here. I liked it. Thought it was good. Didn't love it. But at the same time, the movie, I do owe a lot to the film because that film, I reviewed it, got a bunch of views, at least for my channel, and a bunch of subscribers. So definitely helps me out. I think it's good. Maybe if I rewatch it, I'll love it. Baby Girl, I would agree. I almost gave Baby Girl an even lower rating, but I just have so much respect for Nicole Kidman, especially since she years ago said she was going to work with a lot of female directors. And many people are probably like, oh, she's just saying that. But no, she's been working with a lot of female directors, getting their voice out there, making original movies. So I respect that. Even if Baby Girl and now Holland, which I saw earlier today, just they've been middle of the road movies. Furiosa, I agree, it is incredible. I do think Fury Road's better, but I absolutely love Furiosa. But I can respect this take. Film Kid, I'm wearing my research shirt. Nice. Great movie. Father's Day is coming up, boys. You know what movie to watch. Film Kid, also, if you want to know the Brutalist shirt that I got, you can go to the public and then search up Brutalist, and I'll be on there. Really? It's good to know. I have been unfortunately conflicted about buying The Brutalist on 4K. That's a film that I should have bought day one, but they're not applying HDR onto the 4K of The Brutalist. And on top of that, it doesn't have the full intermission. Like it's a 10-minute intermission, but apparently they cut it down to 1 minute. But you go on the back cover and it's the same length that it was in theaters. So it's like, what the heck? What are we doing here? So I might just wait because I have a feeling that down the line they're going to say, oh, now with HDR and full intermission. And that's going to be like, oh, just going to have to double dip. So I don't want to double dip, so I'm probably going to be waiting. Bootzilla, did you know about the No Country and There Will Be Blood time? Oh, yes. How they were shooting pretty much at the same location and how there was a couple scenes that No Country for Old Men was shooting, but the smoke from, the oil wells got onto their set. I know about that, which I think is pretty cool. Just wild that those two films came out the same year. Godzilla, I wish you could edit on YouTube chat. I agree. I wish, yes. Chad, please don't rewatch I'm Still Here. It'll probably go down. It went down for me on a rewatch because I knew all the beats. It might be a couple years. I liked it. I'm glad that I watched it in the middle of the day. I feel like watching it after a long day at work might not like it as much, but I still quite like it. Film Kid, Bootzilla, I agree that it is really annoying. Yeah, it really is. Andrew Lay, there wasn't a dry at my theater from Still Here. My theater was very quiet, to be honest, which was kind of nice, but it was more of it was an afternoon crowd, so I think that's probably why. Bootzilla, oh yeah, I finally saw him Still Here and I really liked it. Not my favorite of the year, but in my top 6. I can respect that. I think I have that as my number. I think I had that as my number 7 out of the nominees for Best Picture. We still have Film Kid. It's a long overdue feature. Andrew, to me, Fury Road is just a long chasing scene where Furiosa is a proper odyssey. I don't know. Furiosa for me, there was added depth because of how it was executed, with the emphasis on visual storytelling and world building. And I just think that the nice part about that is that when you're watching it going into the theater, you're expecting a Mad Max film, and to some extent it is, but you're not really expecting a film that's about a side character that is actually technically the lead person. I think it was very clever with how it was marketed because you were able to subvert expectations whilst at the same time really having a strong character study. But I can respect what you're saying because I do think Furiosa, as far as an odyssey goes, is definitely much more in line with that than for Film Kid, when are you going to see the Alta Nights? That's one I'm probably going to wait, to be honest, for streaming, unfortunately. Just because I have other films that I'm planning to watch in theaters. Film Kid, also, I'm curious what your thoughts are on my ranking of all the Best Picture nominees. It's on YouTube on Letterboxd. I'll have to check it out. I didn't know you had a YouTube channel, to be honest. So I'll have to check it out and subscribe. Film Kid, YouTube videos, 14 minutes long, but took me a while to make. Oh, dude, believe me, I get it. It takes a while to edit videos. When I was editing my movies, specifically my feature length films, it took me a while, late nights. So I get that, and I edit my YouTube videos as well. So those can be kind of tedious with editing. Usually, oh, I tried, Chad. I tried to get into Terrence Malick, Saw Real Life, Hidden Life, and Night of Cups. Couldn't vibe with any of them. I would watch pre 2000s Terrence Malick. Give The Thin Red Line a chance. Give Badlands a chance. Films like that, because he got even more experimental after The Thin Red Line. So you might like his philosophical nature combined with his more traditional way of doing things like pre 2000. But I will say, The New World, I think, is a gorgeous film. So that might work for you, but probably not if you didn't like Hidden Life, because Hidden Life is more in line with that. Tree of Life is very experimental, but I do also have like an emotional attachment to it. And then Night of Cups, I'm not a fan of. I'll say that. I'm not a fan of Night of Cups, even though I really wanted to. Film Kid, if you watch my Robert Eggers ranking, the videos, production, editing, I had to insert clips of all four of the movies. Each of my talking sessions were like 5 minutes. Yeah, especially if you're inserting like videos. I never really insert videos into my videos because I know that, unfortunately, oftentimes there's like copyright involved. So, yeah. Yep, I know what you meant. Bootzilla, did you hear? Did I hear you say earlier that you'll be doing a 1970s Best Picture ranking? Yes, I think it was, yeah, it was last year. Last year I finished watching all my 1970s Academy Award Best Picture nominees. So now it's just a matter of me filming them and then editing them. I'm taking my time with that though, and the reason why is because I have plenty of time. Like, for example, the 1980s, I'm completely like, I filmed that at this point almost 2 years ago, I believe, something wild like that. So I'm ahead of the curve. Like, I know that those videos will be releasing. Let's see. Let me go to scheduled. Yeah, I have my last 1980s video will be March of 2026. So I'm a year ahead of the curve. So April of 2026 will be when the 1970s Best Picture nominees, those videos start. But yes, 1960s, I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do, because just looking it up, a lot of 1960s Best Picture, excuse me, nominees are just very hard to find. So I don't know if I'll do the 60s. I might cherry pick, like I might do certain years in the 1960s, but yeah, it's frustrating. It's because it's one of those things where it's like film preserve. Like, we got to preserve films, and yet a lot of these films from the 60s are very hard to find. So it's saddening. Film Kid, is Terrence Malick a Christian? I actually don't know, but I know that he is tackling the story of Jesus this year, which is going to be probably amazing. I'm excited for that. Angela, I think I saw the Thin Red Line as a kid. Don't remember anything, just that I felt it was mid. I'd say give it a second chance, man. It's well worth your time. Godzilla Malik is definitely an acquired taste. I've only seen Thin Red Line and Tree Life and liked both. Awesome. Yeah, I agree. He's definitely an acquired taste. I would definitely not say that he has like mainstream appeal. Like, he has a very niche audience. And it's interesting too, because he has a niche audience, but they can also be, broken up into different camps. So it's interesting. Angela, I think he's very Christian. I Film Kid. His next film is literally about Jesus. Yeah, but to be fair, Darren Aronofsky did Noah, and that was controversial when it came out. And he is agnostic. Film Kid, I only have 300 something subscribers, so copyright doesn't really matter with me. The thing is this, though, what I learned real quick is that your early videos that you're doing, when they start gaining traction, like when you start gaining, views and everything, and once you're monetized, you'll want it to be where those aren't copyright, so that way you're able to get, money. So in a way, I'm glad that, especially my early videos, that I didn't really have any of that. So that way I was able to, in retrospect, get some money. Not that much, but still something. Film kid at Andrew Lay, I'm glad. In my opinion, we need more Christian directors in the industry. I mean, I don't really think religion comes into play of like what they are. I think if anything, the people that struggle with religion are usually the ones that make the best religious films. I mean, Paul Schrader, for example, is someone that's always struggled with religion. So always felt conflicted. He's written some of the best, my opinion, films about religion. First Reformed, excellent film. Less Temptation of Christ, amazing. So, I don't know. I think the ones that are more conflicted are the ones that usually make better films, in my opinion. Angela, I think Scorsese, the next one is about Jesus as well. Him and Malik clash the Titans. That would be awesome. Same year, seeing them go up against each other. That's another one. Scorsese. He has Catholic guilt. He made Silence. Excellent film. Not for everyone, but excellent film. And it does a really good job, in my opinion, of tackling faith. So, I don't know. And the same thing is with Noah. Noah is made by an agnostic, but the film is a really good blockbuster. And it has one of my favorite scenes of the 2010s, which is the creation scene, where it's combining creationism, the Big Bang Theory, evolution. Very interesting scene. Angela, Noah was weird. Yep. I saw Solaris 2002, 2 days ago. I fell asleep on a 90-minute movie. Don't know how I'm going to endure a 2.5-hour original. Man. That's yeah. It's funny you say that because I watched the original first, and when I saw the original, I liked it, but I was like, I could see some of this being cut. And then the remake is half length, and the remake I actually like. So I don't know how you like the original. I really don't. Film kit, is The Last Temptation of Christ going to be offensive from a Christian standpoint? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think if anything, if you or if you're someone that's ever grappled with faith, religion and just the story of Jesus, I think it's a film that you'll appreciate. The controversy when it first came out was, but I'll just be blunt. The people that were controversial about The Last Temptation of Christ when it came out are the same people that probably wear those red hats, if you know what I'm saying. Like the people that are just insane. It's like, no, the film, if you actually sit down and watch it, it's a very personal story. You can tell that the people making it weren't hateful. They were very much so intrigued by this story, and their passion can be seen on screen. I love it. I think Last Temptation of Christ is not only one of the best faith films, it's one of Scorsese's best films. I said that years ago when I filmed my ranking, and I stand by that. I think it's a great film. I usually rewatch it every year on Easter. I know that's going to continue this year, too. Angela, spoiler, George Clooney and Solaris. I'm a rational man. Dead wife appears. George Clooney. I'm going to act irrationally. I love it. Yeah, it just goes to show a lot of times what someone says doesn't match what they do. I remember the show Dexter when I first saw it. It tackled that. And it's something that always stood out to me because I'm like, yeah, that is kind of human nature where people will say something, but then they'll do something the opposite. See it all the time. Film Kid Chat, I know you might get a little mad at me, but when I saw Lawrence of Arabia in theaters, there were a part of the movie where I nearly dozed off, but I held on and didn't sleep. I mean, honestly, the fact that you're as young as you are and are watching Lawrence of Arabia, it's a win in my book. Because the first time I saw it, I want to say I was 16 or I just turned 17, but I struggled with it. From a pacing standpoint, I struggled with it. It wasn't until I got older that I really appreciated the film. So I'm not angry. Like I get it. Lawrence of Arabia is a film that requires multiple viewings, especially from a pacing standpoint. But I get what you're saying. But yeah, honestly, today's March 28th. So we have 23 days. So 23 days from now is going to be Easter on 420. Kind of hilarious. Just throwing it out there. But that weekend, especially on Easter, if you're looking for films that are religious, I highly recommend Silence from Scorsese, Last Temptation of Christ, also from Scorsese. And then First Reformed, which is Paul Schrader, who he directed and wrote First Reformed, but he also wrote Last Temptation of Christ, ironically. And his filmmaking is great, but even more so, the themes that he tackles are very deep and thought provoking at the same time, too. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Godzilla, that is a win. First time I saw Lawrence Arabia was 2 years ago. LOL. Oh wow. Yeah, I watched it. I'm trying to think. I think it was 2013 on DVD, and I think my next viewing was on Blu-ray, and then I've seen it a couple times now in 4K. So it's interesting just to see it on the different formats. But yeah, it requires definitely multiple viewings, which is what Film Kid says here. I know you said it requires multiple viewings, but I'm not sure if I can sit through that again. I would honestly wait years from now. Wait years and years from now. I think that's when you'll appreciate it. Angela, I get what First Reform is about. Still thought it was okay. I'm surprised you thought it was just okay. I loved it. Like I thought it was good the first time, but each viewing it just gets better and better, man. Especially that ending. That ending is just it's always stuck with me. But I remember the first time I saw the ending, I was like, what? But I love it, man. I really do love it. It's so good. Angela, Silence was amazing. Yeah, I agree. I saw Silence twice. It's really good. Film Kid, and he wrote Taxi Driver. Yes, that is true. Not a religious film, but yes, great film. Angela, Chad, this year watching Silence on. Ooh. I see what you did there because it's on 420. Now I might do the night before. I might watch First Reformed is like an existential film, so I might do like that, and maybe Noah. Like the creation scene in Noah just seems visually dazzling, but Last Temptation of Christ, I'm going to stick with what I've always done, which is watch it on Easter. So, but yeah, I can't not this year especially. But I love that. Godzilla Film Kit, you can sit through it. If you're passionate about film, which you seem to be, you can. Might have to wait a few years since you were very young. Yeah, I agree with Godzilla. You're very passionate about film, so I think you definitely could do it. Film Kit, I liked a lot of the technical things about it, but the pacing is just not something I wasn't crazy about. Oh, with Taxi Driver? Film Kid, Chad, you better not be on Easter. That's the thing. It's on a Sunday, and I usually it's Friday and Saturdays just so that way it's So I'm probably not going to be, but I don't really know what I'm doing on Easter yet. Anyways, my only plan is to watch Last Temptation of Christ because my wife is working that day, so I don't know I don't know what I'll be doing to be honest. But I know that that weekend I'm probably going to relegate several religious films to watch. In the last couple of years, my go-to has been Last Temptation of Christ, the First Reformed, but I might add Noah and Silence to that regimen. Also, just want to say this: when people say that Last Temptation of Christ is controversial, but then they're the same people that are watching Passion of Christ, which is a film where Jesus gets whipped for 10 minutes. It's like Passion of Christ is solid, but it's a film that doesn't really have that much weight to it versus Last Temptation of Christ. It has a lot of layers. It's basically an onion. Film Kid, Taxi Driver is perfect. Took me multiple viewings, but I do agree. Film Kid, I think I'm seeing Pride and Prejudice on Easter. That's one of my wife's favorite movies. I do like the movie quite a bit. I think Joe Wright's kind of underrated. Wasn't a big fan of Darkest Hour, but I love Hannah. I love also Atonement, Pride and Prejudice. It's been a couple viewings, but I've grown to appreciate it. Godzilla, Passion of Christ seems more to try to shock than anything. Yeah, which is kind of ironic because a lot of Christians supported this. But then a film like Last Temptation of Christ, which is all about the moral conflict, the internal conflict that Jesus went through, that was a film that was like, oh, it's so controversial. But then a film where it's like the outward conflict of, oh, he's getting his skin flayed. It's like, okay, you're seeing somebody that's getting violently desecrated. After a while, it kind of loses its value, in my opinion. Is it well made? Yeah, sure, but I've only seen it one time from what I recall, and I haven't really had an urge to rewatch it. And also, Scorsese versus Gibson in terms of directing. I think we know who's the better director. Film Kid, what's your thoughts on Passion of Christ getting this sequel? I think it's kind of hilarious, to be honest, because there really isn't much to do. Like, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? Because he's not in the Book of Revelations, so it's like, what are we doing here? It seems like a cash grab. Is what I'm trying to say. Film Kid, have your parents seen Passion of Christ? Yes. In fact, when I was living with them, a lot of movies that were R rated, I had to watch on like a cracked iPod screen hidden upstairs. But Passion of Christ was the one R rated film that I was able to know, like my parents knowingly let me watch. So I watched it on the big TV at the time in 2014. And it affected me for sure. But over the years, it's a film that the more I think about it, especially now that I've seen Last Temptation of Christ several times, the less I'm like impacted by Passion of Christ, other than, yeah, it showcases what he went through in terms of the violence. But internally, it's a very hollow film. So it just depends on what you want. If you want to see the violent aspects of what happened, watch Passion of Christ. If you want to experience the internal values, go with the deeper film. Go with Last Temptation of Christ. Angela, I haven't seen it, but there's going to be a sequel. Yeah, which is wild. If you've read the Bible at all, it's wild the fact that they're doing a sequel. It's Mel Gibson cashing in on the success of the original, but he's 20 plus years late. Angela, what's it called? Monty Python. That's funny. I actually don't know what it's called. Can't Articulate is in the house. Hello. Your parents see Last Temptation of Christ? No, I think they're actually the ones that I first heard about. I think they're the ones that I first heard about Last Temptation of Christ and how controversial it is, but they hadn't seen the film. So I knew it was a film that years ago was very difficult to find. So I found it, Seven Seas, watched it, loved it, bought it on Criterion immediately. Angela, hi, I can articulate chat aside. That is not true. I am not. I just get really, really tired past, I've realized 8:30, like 8:30 p.m. is usually when I get like super tired. And it's at 10:56. So I'll probably be ending the stream pretty soon because I'm very tired. And then not only am I very tired, but I'm waking up at 7:30 to practice for my 5K because I'm running a 5K in April. So I've been doing that every Saturday, which is nice. So no, not tonight. Saturdays are the day that I have that candy as like a little treat because I'm like, not only did I run a 5K in terms of practice, but I beat my previous record. So right now it might not sound amazing, but my goal was to reach 30 to 35 minutes. Actually, no, let me back up. My first goal was to be able to finish a 5K. Once I was able to see that I could do that, my next goal was to reach 30 to 35 minutes because they say that's a really good run time for a first time 5K. Right now I'm at 28 minutes and 30 seconds. So, and I still have a month to practice. So if I can get it now to 27 minutes, I'll be even more happy. But that's what I've been doing every Saturday, practicing in the morning, which is one of the reasons why Saturday I haven't been doing live streams as much, because not only am I on the candy, but also because usually by the end of the night, I'm just so beat from doing the 5K earlier. So, but nice joke. I do like it. Godzilla, I remember seeing Passion with my mom and girlfriend, now wife, in a packed theater opening weekend, and there was not a dry eye in that theater except for me. Even my mom was crying. That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense because it was a huge success when it came out, so it makes sense. But yeah, Temptation of Christ far superior. Film Kid, I can't particularly. He has been feasting on all stream. Oh yeah, 100%. Now I've been drinking. I'm not a soda drinker, but I am someone that likes to drink something. And I've been drinking. This video is sponsored by Poppy. So Poppy, one of the main ingredients is apple cider vinegar, which is really good for you. And it's also made from cassava root fiber. Let's see, what's some of the other ones? Sparkling water, stevia. Stevia is one of the main things that if I'm in the mood for something sweet, I usually lean towards something that's stevia based because it's plant based. So, but no, I promise I am very sober. Just a long weekend. I work 40 hours, which might not sound like a lot, but because I wake up so early, because I usually jog 2.5 miles in the morning on Monday to Friday, and then Saturdays I'll then do 3.10 miles running. So I usually wake up around 5:15 to 5:45, which is why, if you guys see on Letterboxd why I'm posting around that time, it's because usually I'm on the treadmill. So I've been up now for, let's see, 17 hours. So that's why I'm like, can't articulate. 2013 films. I just got done watching 12 Years a Slave. Ooh, excellent film. One of my favorite films of all time. Yeah, we were talking earlier about 2013 films about dealing with American excess, which ironically I did bring up 12 Years a Slave because I forget who it was, but they were saying that they were surprised Wolf of Wall Street didn't win. And I was saying that the Academy was a lot different back then. And also, from a historical standpoint, 12 Years a Slave just hits a lot harder. Like, once you've seen it, there's no going back. Film Kid, we were just talking about 2013 movies before Chad got high. Oh my goodness. Godzilla, what did you think of it at Can't Articulate? Yeah, I'm very curious. Chad, I want to finish 5K. Characters in 2013 American Excess movies. 5K, we'd be spending 500K before the night ends. No, 5K, like the run. Yeah, I don't know. Something I've always wanted to do. So I'm like, why not finally do it? So originally we were going to do the Phillies one, but the tickets sold out so fast. So we're doing another one, like a charity one. So that way we can feel good whilst at the same time running. But honestly, it's a great exercise. Like, when I look at my watch afterwards, I'm like, holy cow, I burnt like 500 calories. It's great. It really is. Don't care. Last I checked, this was stream, not video, but we're just going with it. Yes. Godzilla, stevia, watch out for Walter White. Dude, it's so funny you say that because, like, whenever I think about Breaking Bad and I think about Stevie, I'm like, oh yeah, like Lydia, she was someone that was similar to me, where she uses stevia for like coffee. That's like me. But what was crazier is that she actually expected to get stevia in like places. That's not something that even, what was it, 12 plus years later, that's still something that isn't really carried by a lot of places. You legit have to go to the supermarket to get it. So, but I love that. Can't take it. I liked the movie Godzilla, very tragic film. Yes, agreed. Very tragic. I would recommend watching Steve McQueen's other films, specifically Shame. Shame is excellent. Doesn't get talked about enough. And then Widows. Widows is a popcorn munching film that actually has a lot to discuss. And it also has an excellent long take. that does a really good job of showcasing the city in a I don't want to say a non-flattery way, but just a realistic portrayal of what it's like. Godzilla, Can't Articulate. Yes. Film Kit. I might rewatch Babylon tomorrow morning. Ooh, that's a good film. Really like that one. Angela, please ask Sergey to impersonate Norman Bates next time he comes on. I saw his favorite film last week. Dude, yeah, he right now he's actually in Japan. He's gonna be in Japan for the next couple of weeks. So let's see. He'll probably be on the live stream. Let's see. I would say the 12th. So, but yes, I'll pass that along to him. Godzilla, 12 Years in Shawshank are the only movies I cried at the end. Both are understandable. I've noticed I've been crying a lot more recent with movies like Everything Ever All at Once that made me cry. I'm trying to think what else recently. Adolescence, that was a TV show though, but that final scene broke me. Trying to think what else. Let's see. Oh, The Father, that made me cry. That was powerful film, powerful rewatch. Brooklyn, that had some scenes that made me cry. Trying to think. I think there was something recently, more recent. I mean, not more recent, a little bit further back. Oh, Moonlight. I had a lot of tears in my eyes watching that in theaters. That film hits harder and harder each time I watch it. Film Kid expensive 3 hours in my hand. Fair enough. I get that. Godzilla, I think it was the journey the characters in those movies went through is why I cried. That's fair, especially since you feel with what they went through because of how they were paced. Like they were paced very well. So I would agree. Film Kid, Death of a Unicorn ending made Chad cry because of how bad it was. Oh gosh. Oh. Yeah, I don't know who greenlit that last scene. Like, this is really how you're going to end the movie? Really? Okay. Good to know. Can't Articulate, I still have yet to cry for a film. Oh, wow. I'm surprised. I've noticed that over the years, I've definitely, in regards to movies that I've cried, it's definitely increased. But I know one of the first I would say was $1 Million Baby and The Green Mile. Those two films hit me like a brick wall, man. If you haven't seen either of those, I think those might do the trick. Specifically, $1 Million Baby. $1 Million Baby was fantastic. Don't get Brooks was here, so was Red. Oh, such a good scene. Godzilla, yes, Film Kid. Film Kid, Nickel Boy's ending. Oh, that was a really good ending. I'm looking forward to rewatching that. Andrew, I cry watching movies all the time. Glad I'm not the only one. I've been finding that a lot recently. For different reasons, of course. But yeah, everything ever all at once, man. That movie just surprises me that I have like that emotional response. But it's like that scene where Kiki Kwan is like saying how everyone is like scared and how he just thinks that we shouldn't be attacking each other. Like that scene just breaks me every time, man. Like that's such a great scene. Angel, like, glad I'm not dead inside. Like the pianist was close though. Have you seen Schindler's List? That might do the trick. That ending scene involving Liam Neeson I could have saved one more. That scene, amazing. Oh. Yeah, TV shows are different though. TV shows, I feel like I really don't. That's why Adolescence, it was just so shocking to me that I did because I'm like, I don't think I've cried. I don't think I've cried during a TV. Actually, no, that's a lie. Mr. Robot, the series finale, Mr. Robot, I did cry. But I think besides Adolescence and that, I don't think I have. Don't get, please, boss. Don't put that thing over my face. Don't put me in the dark. I was afraid of the dark. Yeah, that scene's so sad. When he does that and then the music swelling, gets me every time, man. And that's one of the best casted films, in my opinion. All right, guys, so we've gone for an hour 46. So I will say we'll end it here. Stay tuned for next week. Next week, I will be doing another live stream. Be sure to partake in the poll that I released for the 2005 Academy Award Best Picture nominees, because I will be talking about that for the next live stream. Marv may or may not be joining me next week. I hope that he does. Fingers crossed. But I hope you guys have a good weekend. I look forward to seeing your guys' reviews on Letterboxd this week. So stay in touch and yeah, have a good rest of your night.